This course is presented to you free of charge by TTJ Tech Services of www.ttjtech.biz and by Stir It Up of www.stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U, not an I, so that's STURITUP.com. TTJ Tech Services and Stir It Up are pleased to offer this course to you to the glory of God and to the benefit of all those who listen.
You don't have to look.
You're unmuted. You're good to go. All right, Sarah's good to go. Well, praise God. Welcome to our session today on the iPad for All Computing, the Files app. We need to talk about this before we get into Pages and Keynote and Numbers and so on, because they all use the Files app in the sense that they support all the features right in the app that you can do in the Files app, moving files around, renaming things, and sharing your files and so on, sharing collaboratively. This is a powerful thing. When the iPad was first introduced, there really was no Files app at the time. And there was, I'm guessing, I don't know why I'm getting notifications, because I should have, when I open Zoom, it should be on Do Not Disturb. Maybe it's because of the way I opened it. I don't know. Anyhow, we're going to be leaving the app anyway, so it really won't matter. There really was no Files app at the beginning, and you just had to kind of use the app that you created a file in to manage those files. And in a lot of ways, that still makes sense to this day, and it's still possible to this day because, think about the logic behind that, right? You open your mail app to access all your emails, right? You don't look for it in a folder somewhere outside of the mail app. It's an email. You go into the mail app, right? You want to work with your events, you go into Calendar. So there's a lot of logic to that, and it's still possible to do that to this day. And quite often, that is actually how I do it. If I want to open a Pages document, I go into Pages. I don't go into the Files app. I go into Pages and I find what I need there. And same thing with Keynote and Numbers and so on. But there are some times when you really do need a separate app for file and folder management. And you can very easily make a case for that in the following ways. So the first example is, what if I have a project that has files from multiple apps and I want to keep those projects together? I want to keep all the files related to that project together. So, in other words, let's say that I'm working on some kind of a project. Let's say that I'm like, I don't know, I'm hosting some kind of an event, a meeting or a dinner party or something, and so I've created maybe a keynote presentation with a slideshow, with my points and my photos and so on. And then I've created a Pages document with a report. I've created a spreadsheet which has the guest list or something. I've created an audio track in GarageBand. So now I've got projects and I've got files from a bunch of different apps. And so how can I keep them all together? And so that's one case right off the bat for a separate app to manage files and folders. And then the other case is, what if I have files that really don't have to be attached to one particular app, right? So you're always going to open your Pages documents in Pages, right? But what about maybe, let's say, an audio file? I might have the choice. I might just want to listen to that audio file. I might need to bring it into an app to edit that audio, and I have multiple apps for that purpose. And so there's all kinds of ways. And so you say, well, then there's files now that don't necessarily have just one app that they're locked to. And so again, this really does present a case for needing a separate app to manage files and folders. Now, I want to point out a significant difference between file and folder management on the iPad and then file and folder management on, let's say, the Windows PC. Although it appears to me, I hardly ever work with Windows. But every once in a while, I have occasion to see it for one reason or another. And it appears to me, because I want to be fair and give credit where credit's due, it seems like Windows has gotten better about this too than it used to be. But it used to be a real issue with the hierarchical file system. This is where you'd lose people. They would be doing just fine learning about their computer, and then you'd start talking about C:\\/ documents and settings / all of this, and it really just got kind of crazy. Well, Apple doesn't do that. They don't use such a complex system ever, and especially on the iPad. The other difference with the iPad is you don't have unfettered access to every file and every folder. And it is my opinion that you don't need it and really shouldn't have it. I don't think users ought to have that level of access to things if they're just a user, because it becomes problematic. You can easily mess things up if you're not careful. And it just seems like a logical place to put in some protections and some boundaries. So Apple has done that. You can't access, your, let's say, Apple Music library as files and folders, right? Those kinds of things. But you can access quite a variety of things, and there's a lot of folders that will get made automatically when apps are installed. Now, typically when an app installs a folder for you, that folder is actually called a library. Okay, that is the technically correct name for a folder that gets installed with an app, is a library, but it functions almost exactly like any other folder would function. Okay. So where are these libraries and these folders located? Well, there's a few different places. The Files app supports actually many different places. So first of all, the Files app supports the local device itself, and that's going to be called like on my iPad, or if you're using an iPhone, it would say on my iPhone. And there's even an on my Mac in some situations, but it's a little bit different on the Mac. But basically, that is something you can understand across the board. So there is an on my iPad folder for our purposes, and that's a location where you have other app libraries, and you can make your own folders and so on. Now, as its name suggests, that's going to remain local to that device. That's only stuff that's on your device itself. The next place the Files app can access, and my favorite place of all, is iCloud Drive. Now, if you are, an Apple user who has created an Apple account, but you don't have any paid Apple services, then you're going to get a free 5 gigabytes of storage. And that 5 gigabytes is used for your iCloud backups. It's used for your iCloud email, and it's used for iCloud Drive. It's also used if you turn on iCloud Photo Library. So there's several different things that will take up space in iCloud. I think messages in iCloud also will take up space in iCloud, your own personal space. There's a lot of things that don't, like calendars in iCloud, contacts in iCloud, iCloud reminders, iCloud notes. Those things don't take up your personal iCloud storage. There's separate allotments for those, and they're quite huge. Thousands and thousands of, calendar events and so on. But it is true that some of the other things do. Like I said, if you use iCloud Photos, that is going to store your photos and videos in iCloud at your expense storage-wise. So 5 gigabytes might be plenty for some people and might not nearly be enough for others. But remember, it's easy and relatively inexpensive to upgrade your iCloud storage. If you pay just 99 cents a month, you can go from 5 gigabytes all the way up to 50 gigabytes. And just in case there's any issues hearing that on Zoom, that was 50, not 15, but 50 gigabytes of iCloud storage for $1 a month, basically. And so I don't think that's bad. And then for like $2.99, I think they go up to 200 gigabytes, and it goes up from there. You can go all the way up 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes, 6, 12. There's a lot of options you can have. The other way you can get iCloud additional storage is to get an Apple One bundle. The Apple One bundles that we talked about earlier on in the season, where you have like Apple Music and Apple TV Plus and Apple Arcade and all these different things bundled together. Typically, they do include a subscription to iCloud Plus, one of the tiers of it anyway. I don't, it depends which storage level, but you can always supplement it too. So for my family and me, we have the iCloud. What is it called? Apple One Premier, I think, which is the top bundle. And basically, it has all their services: Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, Apple Fitness Plus, and Apple News Plus. It also has iCloud Plus with 2 terabytes of storage. I then went ahead and supplemented that with another 2 terabyte plan. So our family has 4 terabytes that we share of iCloud storage. Very important. And I know I explained this when we first talked about Apple One and all of that before, but let me say it again. It's very important to remember when you're sharing iCloud storage, you are only sharing the allotment. It's not, I've had some customers over the years and some students, be like, well, I don't want to do shared iCloud storage because I don't want, my family members to be able to access my files and that sort of thing. Well, they won't. Okay. They're all entirely separate. There's nothing shared about that. It's just that the total allotment of storage gets shared across all of the family members, that do family sharing and what have you with your Apple account. So it is a very good option. It's a way to, save some money and still get a lot of iCloud storage for everybody. And they have, as I said, I think it's 12 terabytes is the top one. I've not seen the need to go above 4 right now. I think we've only used about 1 or 1.5 of that, and that's many, many years. So we've still got over 3 terabytes of storage left. If we ever get down below 1 terabyte left, then I'll probably upgrade to the 6 terabyte and just, progressively go but I see that being years in the future, if anything. Um, at that point, Jesus may come back first, or we may have other ways of storing things that aren't even thought about, or files may get smaller, or it's hard, we clear things out we don't need, because you can always do that too. But iCloud Drive is my go-to place where I store everything. That's what I use in the Files app almost exclusively. And I say almost just because there are a few apps that don't store in iCloud, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Certain apps, due to the nature of what the app is and so on, are only local on, the iPad. But whenever it's possible to do so, I store everything in iCloud Drive. And of course, the benefit to that, as you probably know, is that I can use any device that's signed into my Apple account, right? So if I create something in Pages on my iPad, I have 2 iPads, remember, praise God, I can pick up the other iPad or my iPhone or even my Mac. And if I ever get a Vision Pro, I could even pick that up, and I could see my Pages documents and edit them. And that, like we've talked about so many times, that is the beauty of iCloud, all your stuff being everywhere you go on all of your devices automatically, wirelessly. So, I go out to lunch and I'm showing somebody a Pages document that, I'm going to need them to see and so forth. And I'm showing them on my iPhone, and they say, oh, you spelled this word wrong, or you need to change the font here or something. I make that change right there while we're at lunch out on my iPhone. And when I get home, it's already changed on my iPad, all my other devices as well. I mean, this is, I can't stress that enough. I know we've talked about it before, but it's worth revisiting, I think, because it is so useful. And so iCloud Drive allows me to create folders. It allows me to store things, and there are some app libraries. Remember, those are folders that get installed with an app. And so, for example, Pages, Keynote, and Numbers all have their own app libraries already on the iCloud Drive. They have a Pages library, or in other words, a Pages folder. They have a Keynote folder, and so on. And of course, as I said, you can create more. You can even create subfolders, meaning a folder within a folder. And so this truly is a robust file and folder management app. In addition to iCloud Drive and the On My folder on my iPad, on my iPhone, whatever device you're using at the time, you also can connect third-party cloud storage services like Dropbox, pCloud, Google Drive, and Microsoft OneDrive, just to name a few. And the way you do that is you install those third-party apps first and sign in, and then there will be an option in the Files app to connect those. And so you can easily then use the Files app to access all of those places. So that means I can see Dropbox if I were to use Dropbox or Google Drive, or anything else like that. I can see that right in the Files app alongside of my other things. And I can even move things let's say I want to move something from Google Drive to iCloud Drive. I can easily do that all in one app. It's very, very convenient. Now, when you move something from one storage system to another like that, like Google Drive to iCloud Drive, it's not actually going to move it. It's going to copy it. So you still have it in the original location as well. So even if you say move, it's actually going to copy when you're going from one system to another like that. But it is, definitely doable. In addition to that, I also can use external drives in the Files app. We had a drive that a couple of customers have purchased, a couple students have purchased through me. It was on our TTJ holiday gift guide for 2024. And it was made by Crucial, and they had a 2 terabyte version and a 4 terabyte version. And there might have been others, but they're little USB-C drives, so you don't need any adapter. They connect directly to the modern devices with a little cable that's connected to the drive. The drive is like a little square. I mean, it fits in the palm of your hand, and it's got USB-C. And not only that, but it's SSD, meaning it's solid state. So it's like a flash drive, no moving parts, relatively inexpensive and completely silent operation, and so portable. I mean, you stick it in a pocket of a briefcase, And so if you need more storage, that's a great way to get it. And that drive is still available, I believe, and you can get that through me. And it's, a really great option if you need a ton of extra storage, because as I say, you can have 2 or 4 terabytes are the 2 models that I have either bought or sold to customers. And it uses the iPad's power. It's what they would consider bus powered, I guess you'd call that. So that means it doesn't need any plugs. You don't need a hub, anything like that. It just connects beautifully and shows up right in the Files app. Other drives might need extra power, so they may need to be plugged in, or they may require the use of a USB hub or something. But as SSD is taking over, that's becoming easier and easier. You're going to find fewer drives that will require extra power, because when they're not solid state, when they are solid state, rather, it seems like they don't need as much power. They run cool and quiet, and it's just beautiful. And so, you could use that. You can also use, but I would point out, if you have an older external drive that's not solid state, and so forth, as long as you can get the right adapter, it should run. Now, there may be issues. You have to kind of follow the instructions. You got to make sure it's a file, what's that called? A file system that is compatible with the iPad. So if for those who don't know what I'm talking about, that's just as well. Just get a drive through me or from the Apple Store or something, and you can be, assured that it will work. But for those who are doing this for years and you know what I'm talking about, for example, you would not use an NTFS file system on an iPad, right? That wouldn't make any sense. So there are some limitations. And also, again, some of your drives may require extra power. Even if they are bus powered, iPad's power distribution is different than that of, let's say a PC or something. So you're just going to have to try it if you're not sure, if you have a drive sitting around that you hope to be able to use with your iPad. And remember the need for an adapter. If it's not a USB-C drive, you're going to need that USB-C digital AV multi-port adapter, praise God. And then you can connect a standard USB. But the other thing you can do in the Files app is, of course, flash drives, right? Little thumb drives, pen drives, whatever you want to call them. They used to call them jump drive many years ago, but I think that was a brand specific thing, kind of like Popsicle or Kleenex, And then in addition to all that, you have SD cards. And the Files app supports SD cards if you have the reader. So you have to buy the USB-C SD card reader for the iPad from Apple, and you can use an SD card in the Files app. You can also use an SD card in the Photos app, which we talked about earlier on in this course. But yes, you can use it in the Files app as well. In addition to all of that, one more thing, the Files app even supports file servers, shared servers, Windows servers, all of these different kinds of servers that people might run, and even these network attached storage or NAS drives like the WD My Cloud, for example, that you would basically, what that is it's a drive that connects to your Wi-Fi router, and then that drive becomes available as a network drive. And so that's even supported in the Files app. So there's so much that we can do. And I'm going to take you through just a small portion of it to show you kind of how it works. Now, the Files app is a sidebar app. It also has tabs. I like to work with the tabs because I don't really find need for a sidebar. The main reason you would need to show the sidebar is if you want to add additional services like Dropbox or pCloud or something to your Files app, because you have to find some of those locations in that sidebar, I do believe. Now, let me get the screen share going. 2:49 p.m. And let me start that. Now let me get original audio. Hang tight. Let me close this panel. Okay. All right. Praise God. Let's do.
Original sound button, more button.
There we go.
You are sharing screen.
Yes, I am.
Optimized for video, picture in picture displayed.
More. All right.
Settings.
I
Double
believe
tap to open.
My Files app.
Maps, remind files.
Here it is.
Double tap to open.
And so I'm going to open it up.
Home.
Now.
Edit mode. Map. Files. Files. GMT 202.
I think my
iPad 19.
Yeah. I think my sidebar.
Forward. Dip. Browse. Shared. Toggle sidebar.
Yep.
Button.
It's already hidden. It's already hidden. And so basically, if I show it, it's going to give me some additional options. And I may demonstrate those for you just so you can see what they are. But again, let me just, with the sidebar hidden, show you that you still have the floating tab bar up to just swipe to the right.
Recents, tab, 1 of 3. Shared, tab, 2 of 3. Browse, tab, 3 of 3.
All right, so you have 3 basic tabs, Recents, Shared, and Browse. Pretty much self-explanatory. Recents is going to give you quick access to the most recent files that you have opened. And I'll be honest with you, I use this more than anything because a lot of times the kind of work that I do, is I save a file from the internet. I download something like a Zoom recording of this class, for example. Then I'll take it into a third-party app to do some audio editing and to put out a little intro and outro on it and that sort of thing. Or if I record, a podcast in another app and then I save it to files. So it's always kind of right at the top. And so, like, if I look at the right side right now, I'm going to see the most recent files that I've worked with. I'll show you that in a moment. The Shared tab is for everything that you have shared with anyone else and everything that others have shared with you. Now, this is not to be confused with, like, your shared notes and shared reminders and those things, because those things have to live in the apps that created them. So notes, for example, you're not going to see in the Files app, even though they also have shared notes and all those kinds of things. And they have a very similar structure, if you recall, when we looked through the Files app, or through the Notes app, excuse me. But it's not the same. All right. Now, the third tab is Browse. And Browse is where we go if indeed we want to go through any and all of our files and so on. And that way we can easily find whatever it is that we're looking for, even if it's not recent or shared. So let me start with that.
Back, browse.
Oh, and notice to the right, then you have a back and a forward icon.
Back, dimmed, button, forward, dimmed, button.
And they're both grayed out right now.
Folders you viewed previously.
Because we're not, we don't have anywhere to go right now. But let's go to the Browse tab.
Browse. Toggle sidebar, button.
Now,
browse, tab,
if I
3 of 3.
If I swipe to the right.
Back, button, forward, dimmed, button, iCloud Drive, heading.
Okay, I am in iCloud Drive right now. And if I need to go back, it would take me back to, the previous place that I was. I can show my sidebar if I need to go to other locations, like on my iPad or something. But if I go to the right, this is iCloud Drive.
Select button.
And the first thing we hear is select. You remember multi-select, where I want to select, 7 or 8 different files all at once to move or to delete or something like that. Just like in Mail, just like in Notes, just like in other apps, that select button brings up that interface where you can do that, the multi-select interface. All right, let's go to the right.
New folder button.
That's important, right? So right away, I see that I can create a new folder right here in iCloud Drive. That's where I am, so that's where the folder is going to go if I create it.
Icons button. Search button.
Okay, so what that icons thing is it's telling us how we're going to view. Is it icons? Is it a gallery? What kind of, I don't know all the choices, to be honest with you, because I don't really.
Icons button. Icons button. List button. Columns button. Selected. Name button. Kind button. Date button. Size button. Tags button. View options button. Dismiss context menu.
Okay, so we had a lot of choices there.
Toggle side.
First, we saw that we could view icons, a list, columns. Then we saw that we could sort by name, by date, by the kind of file. That would put like the folders above the files, and that sort of thing. And so we have all these different options. I just have it sorted by name. I also saw something else in there that I wanted to comment on. It was tags. Praise God. Now, tags are really cool. I like tags a lot. And what tags do is it's a friendly little descriptor that you can attach to a folder or a file. You might remember tags from reminders and notes. We didn't do a deep dive into tags, but if you recall, you could create like a smart folder in notes or reminders. I think both of them supported it, if I remember right. So like, for example, reminders already has some smart folders or smart lists. Like it has one that's called today. So anything that's scheduled for today will show up in that list automatically. Well, if you create tags, let's say you create a tag for chores, you create a tag for bills, because I have those two in my reminders app. You could create other things. Then you could create smart folders that, display certain tags and so on. Well, tags can be very useful in the Files app. Again, going back to that example that I said to you, I have a project like let's say a birthday party, retirement dinner, whatever, or something, I can tag my files and folders with the name of that, like let's say birthday party. That way I don't have to actually make separate folders. I can just use tags. And I've done that, and I'll show you that as we progress. I also have done it the other way and made folders, and it just kind of depends. I prefer to do it now, but I guess it took me some time to know how I wanted to do it, and I did it differently before. And plus, there have been times where I've needed to have a folder because I was asked maybe to share an entire folder with someone else. And so when you're working with shared folders, you're going to make them, an actual folder. But the way I prefer to do it is with tags. So like I've created a folder that is for audio. I call it audio. I think it's just called audio files. I would put every audio file in that folder, but then I would tag it with what it relates to. So if it's an audio file, let's say for my preaching and ministry, I might tag it with preaching, or I might tag it with the vessel, which is the name of the ministry. If it's an audio file for class, I might tag it with TTJ or something like that. And so this way, it's all in the audio folder, but it's tagged based upon what it relates to. There are even colored tags. So for those who can see, you can have the different colors. So there's a lot of options here. And really, it is personal preference how you organize. All right, so we saw the view options menu basically.
Toggle side. Recents.
And now
audio. Art. Icons. Daddy. Desktop.
That was it.
Attachments.
That's where we were. Icons.
Icons.
Remember that?
Button.
That's where. And now there's a search.
Search button. ACE search.
So though that allows you to do a search for whatever you're looking for. Now here are my folders that are in iCloud Drive. Some of them are app libraries and some of them are folders that I've created. Let's just listen to a few so you can get an idea of what we're dealing with here.
ACEWAIOS folder uploaded. 14 items shared by me.
Okay.
Actions available.
Now there's a case where I had to make it a folder because I was sharing it with some other coworkers. And it said shared by me, so I could view the sharing settings if I long press that and so on. We won't do that right now, but that's a shared one.
Art Studio Pro folder uploaded. 5 items.
Now,
Actions available.
that Art Studio Pro actually comes from an app with the same name, and so it's an app library, but it is in iCloud Drive, okay?
ATLC project folder uploaded. One item, shared by me.
That's another shared one.
Actions available. Attachments and photos. Folder. Uploaded. 96 items.
Okay, so
Actions available.
I created this folder specifically for the purpose of what it says. It says attachments and photos. Let's say I receive a photo in an email or something, and I don't really want that photo in my library. Maybe it's a work project. Sometimes, people have to send me a company logo if I'm designing their website or, those kinds of things. And I really don't want that in my photo library with all the family photos and stuff, but I need a way to keep it organized. So I have an attachments and photos folder. Also, other email attachments that I might receive that I don't think really belong anywhere else, I could put in attachments and photos. That's why I called it that. Now, some of these are libraries. Like, let me...
Audio exchange folder.
Okay, that's a folder that Trainer Cliff and I use for different audio projects.
Audio files folder.
There's the one I was telling you about, my personal audio files folder, that anything audio goes in. And let's see.
Audio files folder. 437 items.
Yeah, I figured that would have a lot in it. That's what I thought. Now, any of these you can double tap to open them if you wish to do so. You can also long press them. There are rotor actions as well. You heard it say actions available. So if I swipe up or down with one finger, we have a whole bunch of actions available to us in the rotor.
Copy, move, share, download now, keep downloaded, remove download, open a new window, compress, duplicate, get info, new folder with item, rename, favored, tags, delete, drag item, activate, default.
I think that might be everything that's in the long press menu. I always tell you to check both because you never know if the rotor is only going to have the most common things and what they think are the most common, and then you're missing something that's in the long press menu. But I think that one may have everything. Let me long press it and see the difference.
Audio files.
Now, I will tell you that in the Files app, for some odd reason, I haven't tried in version 18 point anything. I know in like 16 and 17, it used to be that you really did have to long press by double tap and holding. The triple tap, for some reason, did not work properly in the Files app. I don't know if that's still the case. I would just encourage you to just do double tap and hold if it works for you. So I'm going to do that.
Copy, button, move, share, remove download, download now, keep downloaded, open a new window, get info, rename, compress, duplicate, new folder with item, tags, button, favored, button, delete, button, dismiss context menu.
Okay,
button,
I think it's the same.
toggle.
I don't think that, if I recall, I don't think I heard anything there that I didn't hear in the other place. Maybe get info. Let me see.
Clips 1, book file,
It doesn't
audio,
matter what folder we're on, but
drag, delete, tag, read, new, get info.
nope, it's there. It's there. So I think everything is there in the rotor as well. So it becomes personal preference then, whichever way you like to do it.
Book.
Now, as I said, some of these are libraries that are part of apps. You heard that with Art Studio Pro. As we go further, there are going to be others. Like I'll show you Keynote and Pages.
Brush,
Oh,
brushes.
That's one of them. That's a painting app, and that's got a folder, a library.
Clips, daddy, desk, downloads.
Notice desktop, documents, and downloads. Desktop and documents actually come from the Mac. Downloads, that's my downloads folder for everything. I use that for iPad, iPhone, and Mac downloads, so everything gets put in iCloud.
Extra memos, GarageBand for iOS folder, GarageBand for Mac OS folder.
Those are libraries. They got created by the apps.
GarageBand session recordings folder.
That's one I created for a student that I had been working with.
Grocery, Josh Webb's Keynote, Cliff Logo.
There's the Keynote one.
Keynote, Logic Pro for iPad.
There's Logic Pro. I'm skipping a little, but you can see there's, and I'll show you Pages.
Molly, music, numbers, pages,
right?
folder.
So those folders get automatically created, therefore they're called libraries, for whatever reason, but that's what it is. And so I can double tap it and I can view what's in those, just like any other folder, create subfolders, all of those things. Now, again, when I'm working with Pages, I'll be honest with you, I prefer to go into Pages first and then get the file there. There's no real reason other than that's just the way I like to do it. But you could do it either way. And you know, that's true pretty much universally. So if I'm going to, let me open a folder for you. Let's go into audio files. How about that?
Page audio files, folder.
All right, praise God.
437 items.
Double tap on it.
O1 Writer GM.
Now if I go back,
search, icon, new folder.
I'm swiping left.
Select, audio file, forward, back, button.
Back is going to take me back to the last place I was, which was iCloud Drive. Also, notice that you can still create a new folder. Remember, folder within a folder.
Select button. New folder button.
All right, so here's my audio files, and I got to find something, that is not copyrighted so that I can share it here.
2000 Apple TV, Apple, off one, off, backpack, dumching, bite crunch, book music, buzz. Off.
Well, I could use the book. I think I usually use those when I demo this because those are royalty free, and they happen to be the intro and outro for my Titanic book, and I have them saved here.
Book music intro, audio, uploaded, 4/10/21, book music ending, 4/10/20.
So both of those are there. Now, one said uploaded, the other one didn't, and I suspect it's because it's already downloaded.
Book music ending, 4/10/21, 8.29.
Let's see.
Copy, move, share, remove, download.
Yeah.
But keep down.
It's already downloaded.
Keep downloaded.
Okay.
But dismiss context.
So let me explain to you what happens.
Toggles.
iCloud is excellent. Apple devices are excellent at managing storage automatically. So when you store something in iCloud Drive, it stays in iCloud Drive rather than also downloading to your device and taking up equal amount of space. That wouldn't even be possible, right? Because I don't have one of the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte iPads. I have a 512 gig and a 256 gig iPad, which, praise God, is plenty. But in other words, it wouldn't be able to store everything that I have in iCloud. And it doesn't need to. When I make a demand on a file by opening it, it's going to download it at that time. But it's also going to remove the download whenever it feels it needs to. And I don't know whether that's based on your storage space or whether it's based on how frequently or when the last time was that you used it, or probably both. If you haven't used it in a while, it's going to remove it, I would. But you have options to manually override that. So you have a download option in that long press menu. You probably heard that. It said download now. In this case, it said remove download because it's already downloaded. You also had an option called keep downloaded. And what that will do is that will force the file to stay download. That will exclude it from the ones that Apple can remove, or not Apple, but that your device can automatically remove. Now, I want to be very clear. When I say it's removed, it's not being deleted. There's a big difference. It's simply removing it from local storage. It's still available in iCloud. If you want it again, it's as simple as double tapping it, and it'll re-download for you and open up. And as long as you have a decent internet connection, that will take literally just a few seconds at most. It depends on the file size, of course, but in theory. But people say, well, if I need to view this offline, okay, so then download it and tell it to stay downloaded. And that's what that context menu is for. It has those options in it and a whole lot more, as you heard. So I wanted to explain that because you heard this one.
Recents tab.
Where was I?
Byte crunch. Off. Apple.
Oh, book music.
Book music ending. 4/10/21. 8.29 p.m. Audio. 4/10/21.
See, that one.
8:29 p.m.
That one.
1.3 megabytes.
Doesn't say.
Swipe up or down.
But
book music intro. Audio. Uploaded.
See, that one says uploaded, meaning that one's not local to my device right now. And if I double tap it, it's going to download it first, and then it's going to open. It's a very small file, so it won't take but a second, and I'll demonstrate that.
Book music intro. Audio. Uploaded.
I'm going to double tap it now.
Book music intro. Audio. Book music
See,
intro.
and
0 seconds.
now it's open. It literally took, what, a second and a half, 2 seconds, and then you heard the noise that the screen changed, and it's open now. Again, a larger file may take a little bit longer, but if it does, you can tap on the file, and VoiceOver will tell you, downloaded 30 megabytes, downloaded, whatever, so you know what to expect. But I'm already in what's called a quick look interface now. Quick look interface means that I'm still technically in the Files app, but I have some options that I can view this.
Play button.
I can play it.
Done button.
There's done.
Play button.
If I were viewing a PDF, I'd be able to read it here. This happens to be an audio file, so I can hit play.
Done button. Play. 0 seconds elapsed. Media timeline. 0 seconds. Adjustable.
That's a scrubber.
Media. Book
And
share button.
There's the share button. So if I want to share this with other people, that brings up the share sheet or the share menu. Now, since this is royalty free, No copyright issues. Let me go ahead and play this for you.
Play. Done.
This audio file plays at the beginning of the Titanic book that I wrote.
Play button. Play. Share button.
And of course, in the actual book, there's narration over top of that. The narrator's announcing the title of the book.
Pause button. Pause.
The narrator is announcing the title of the book and the author and so on. But that is, I have that saved to iCloud, and so I can play it in that quick look interface, but I can also share it, which not only means sharing it with other people, but also opening it in other apps. So let's take a look at that.
Share button. Book music intro. Book music intro. Book send copy button.
Now notice it's set to send copy. A lot of times that's where we've heard collaborate. And if I double tap on that, I will have the choice.
Collaborate button selected. Send copy button.
Right.
Dismiss context menu.
And we can dismiss.
Selected.
I'm going to leave it on send copy for now. But as you know, collaborate enables real-time collaboration on files that support it. I don't really know that it would actually give you collaborative ability in this file, but what it would do is it would be a shared file that I would continue to have the access over, and the other person could listen to it. You could create a whole folder that way and share that folder with somebody. Again, Trainer Cliff and I do that because we do some collaborative podcasts together and so on, and so we have our audio files that in that share, and then when if he edits something, or if I edit something, then we just say, now, it's in the shared folder, and one of us can grab it, the other can, and you can always remove access to it too. But that's how it would work collaboratively. You can do that both with individual files as well as with entire folders. And then remember, files that support true collaboration, like Pages files, Keynote, GarageBand, then you can actually edit them together collaboratively as well. All right, now look at these other options in the share menu.
Cliff, messages, book music, send copy button.
First, again, as with most share sheets, you're going to have your list of sharing suggestions.
Carson Volbrecht, Cliff, Mom, Fred Baca, Jessica Thomas, Cliff and Michelle, Kylie, Patton, TT, Gail Green, TTJ instructor chat, air message,
now,
airdrop.
We have this section with airdrop. You remember what that is, and messages, mail.
Messages, mail.
So these are ways I can share this file. But now the rest of them are going to probably depend upon the kind of file that it is. Remember that this is an audio file. So let's see what options we have.
Notes button.
Okay, we can bring it into Notes as an audio recording.
Freeform button.
We can bring it into Freeform, which we know from Monday's class supports audio.
Voice memos button.
We can save this into voice memos because, again, it's an audio file. Makes sense.
ChatGPT button.
All right, I'm not sure what ChatGPT would do with it. Maybe you could ask it questions about the file.
Final Cut Pro button.
Bring it into the video editing app, Final Cut Pro.
Video Converter button.
I can bring it into the Video Converter app.
Amber button.
Apparently, I can bring it into the Recipe app. I don't know what that would do.
Ferrite button.
Okay, Ferrite Recording Studio. That's another audio editing app.
Backpack button.
And that's another audio app.
More button.
And more. There might be even more choices. I didn't see Clips or iMovie, but maybe those are in the More menu. Or maybe, I know, like in GarageBand, you have to bring it in a different way. So some of them may not show up here. But again, your choices are going to differ from mine based on what apps you have installed. After this More button, and More, again, will give you additional options. Typically, once you choose an option in More, then it will show up in this main menu the next time. But there's also ones, if you keep going.
Copy button. Add tags button.
Remember, I told you about tags. So I can add tags. Let's keep going.
Save to files button.
And there's a way to save it to files. It's already in files, but that's always going to be a nice option to know about.
Share to LumaFusion button.
Another video editor.
Download file. Edit actions button.
Okay.
Edit actions.
I'm going to show you that I can tag this.
Save to add tags button. Tags heading.
Now.
Tap done button. Add new tag button.
I can create a new tag, or I can pick from an existing one.
Red button. Orange button. Yellow.
See these
button.
colors?
Green. Blue. Purple. Gray. Work. But home. Button.
Work, home.
Important. Important. Button.
All right. And I thought I had other.
Work. Important. Home. Work. Button. Gray. Selected. Work. Button.
I thought I had other tags for this. I'm going to put work, and I'm going to create a Titanic tag.
Or red. Add. Done. But add new tag. Tag name. Text field is editing. Tag name. Capt ITANIC. Return.
And do I hit return?
Use the rotor to access misspelled words.
Right.
L. R.
Looks like.
Tags. Head done. But add new tag. Button. Selected. Titanic. Red. Orange. Perp. Gray. Selected. Work.
So it's tagged with work and it's tagged with Titanic. Now I can hit done.
Files. Red. Tags. Tag. Done.
And
List. Button.
later on I can find it by going to the Titanic tag. And I'll show you where to do that.
Book music intro. Actions menu. Share. Button. Play. Button. Done.
Okay, you saw all those options before. Actions menu.
Share. Book music list. Book music intro. Actions menu. Book music intro. Book share. Button. Audio recording. Middle dot 2 megabytes. Duplicate. Button. Move. Button. Rename. Button. Dismiss context menu.
So a lot of the same stuff there. Now,
List. Book music. Share. Play. Done.
we'll hit
Button.
done. And what I'm going to do
Toggle side.
is I'm also going to show you now some other things that we can do with this. Like I can copy and paste this in another location. We have three options that sound sort of similar but are very different. Let me explain them. There's copy, there's duplicate, and there's move. So duplicate will create an exact copy in the exact same location right now. You'll have two of the same file. One will probably have the number 2 after it. You could always rename it. The other option is copy, and copy will put it in the clipboard. Then we can paste it. And then there's a move option, which will actually allow you to choose a place you're going to move it to right now. And again, if you're using two different file sharing services, like moving it from Dropbox to iCloud, it's not going to move it anyway. It's going to copy it. But if it's within the same service, like iCloud folder to another iCloud folder, it is going to actually move it if you choose the move option. I want to demonstrate the copy option because I want to show you how to paste. I'm going to rename this thing and put Titanic Book Music just so I can show you how to rename something.
Apple AI. Byte Crunch. Book music ending. Book music intro. Audio. /10/.
Maybe I'll actually put book music intro Titanic. I'll put that at the end of it. So long press it.
Copy. Share. Remove down. Open. Get in. Rename. Button.
Okay.
Text field is editing. Book music intro selected.
It's
Character
selected.
mode.
It's selected. So if I start typing, it's going to replace. I don't want to do that because I'm going to leave what's there.
Done.
We'll hit the...
Use the rotor to access misspelled words.
To the right of the letter L is that return. But let me swipe up.
Book music intro. Unselected. O.
Okay, I'm at the end of
Oscar.
the... right after the O, I'm going to put a hyphen.
X hyphen. Hyphen.
And put
intro.
Titanic.
Cap TITANIC.
Now I'll hit done.
Done.
So now I've
Book music ending. Book music intro Titanic. Audio.
I've renamed it. All right, let's copy it and put it in the folder that I share with Trainer Cliff, or that he shares with me. So let's long press it.
Copy. Button.
Copy.
Byte Crunch.
Okay, so it's in the clipboard. Let's go to the folder called Audio Exchange. We have to go back.
Audio file. For back. But. Document. Clips. Church. Brush. Book. Audio exchange.
That's where I want to put
Shared
it.
by Cliff Miller.
Now, how do we paste a file, folks? Do we use the paste option in the edit rotor? And the answer is absolutely not. We don't do that because that is for text. How do we paste a file? Well, the answer is, and you're going to have to work pretty hard to find this. I don't know where this is documented even. So what you have to do is go down to the very bottom of your Files app. I would do a 4-finger single tap near the bottom.
Synced with iCloud.
Okay, that's my status. It's synced with iCloud. Let's swipe to the left.
28 items.
Okay, that's a status line. 28 items. It may not say 28, it may say whatever, but that's where it is. You're going to long press that. You're going to long press on that status line at the bottom. Double tap and hold.
New folder button.
We have new folder.
Paste button.
We have paste. And look at what else we have.
Move item here button.
So we can move it.
Scan documents.
We can scan a document in here.
Get info button. Undo rename button. Dismiss context
Undo.
menu.
Look at all these options.
Button.
I'm going to choose paste.
Paste button. Shared by Cliff Miller.
Praise God. Let's look.
Left behind. Intro. Faith in the Four. Easter. Closing. Book music. Intro. Titanic. Audio.
There it is.
4/10/21. 7:37 p.m. Up arrow waiting.
And it says waiting.
Actions available.
Let's
Book
look.
music. Intro. Titanic. Audio. 4/10/21. 7:37 p.m. Added by me.
Now it doesn't say waiting anymore. It said waiting before. What that meant is it was waiting to upload. Now it has uploaded. If I look at the bottom,
Sync with iCloud.
it's all in sync. So now Trainer Cliff can access it. It's in this shared folder. And so you got to see a couple of things there. But the main thing I wanted to show you was how to paste. Let's review that again. Once you copy and that file's in the clipboard or that folder's in the clipboard, you go to your desired location, go down to the very bottom, and swipe to the left to where it says like however many items are in that folder, and then double tap and hold. Doesn't say button or anything, but you just double tap and hold on that, and it brings up the little context menu, and then you choose paste. And that's how easy it is to paste files. So again, we can move files around. We can, we can do all sorts of things. Now, let me show you one other kind of, let's go out of this. Let's go back.
Apple device. Pop 2002 front options button. Shared search icon. New audio forward back.
And let's go into something like a PDF.
Cliff logos.
I actually have a folder called PDFs.
Molly pay PDFs folder 1.
So if I long press, or if I open one of these, let me see what I have in here.
Chapter concert course proposal PDF document uploaded 9/5/18.
I'm not even sure I know which course proposal that is, but let me open it up with a double tap, and it's going to bring it into a quick look interface.
List button. List course proposal. Actions menu. Share button. Search. Autofill button. Markup. Switch button. Off.
Notice now we have
Double
options
tap to toggle setting.
We have options to autofill this if there were form fields, or to mark it up. But I want to just
Done button. Selected. Thumbnail for page 1. Thumbnail
there's
for
two
page 2.
pages.
Black. Share button.
And
Markup. Thumbnail for page 2.
let's see if we can.
Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate. Black text on a white background. CCAIARALC. OEEAMA. Kirhauen we tie test delteat. 17. MGENECETESCR2HBR.
Okay, so
Selected. Thumbnail for page 1.
It may
Black
be that
text on a
this.
gray background. B22.2a. Reg do. 11. Ban. News ad hairpin. Astes Burskado re-reclag in Benay 6.
I'm not sure what this is, and I don't know if it's actually written that way or if it's having trouble identifying the image that's here, and it's kind of, let me try something once.
Characters, word, headings, vertical nav containers, screen recognition on. Share, course proposal, actions, search, autofill, done, selected, course description and related academic standards.
There we go.
Introduction to Human Space Exploration is designed to provide an interdisciplinary experience for high school students. Students will learn the technical, scientific, historical, and interpersonal aspects of human space exploration and their applications to our daily lives. The course is constructed around the academic standards for science and technology, writing in science and technology, and mathematical problem solving. It consists of readings, fiction and non-fiction, writing experiences, hands-on interactive experiments, and projects and simulations in individual and group settings. The following PA academic standards are integrated in this course.
And look at that. Praise God. I could keep swiping. But look how well. Now you got to see where screen recognition really shines and works brilliantly. And praise God. Now I will say, what a blessing. I wrote this for a board meeting years ago when I was proposing this course to the school board that we piloted in the school and so forth. And I thought it was all text-based. I don't know why. It apparently was image-based. Maybe I don't remember the even how I did all that, but notice I was able to read it with screen recognition.
Off.
And we'll turn off screen recognition now. I wanted to show you that the share menu is going to be different to some extent for this than it was for an audio file. Some of them will be the same.
On. Off. In course disk thumb select done button.
Now it's actually reading that without. That's weird.
Markup.
I don't know.
Autofill.
Easy.
Search. Share button.
All right.
Course proposal. Send copy button.
It's on send copy.
Carson
Here's my
Volbrecht.
file sharing.
Mom.
My sharing suggestions.
Fred, Jessica, Thomas, Cliff, and Michelle, Gail Greenberg, airdrop, messages, mail, button, notes, button, freeform, button, chat GPT, Canva, button.
Canva is a design app. That was not in the audio share options, right? So that is different because this is a PDF.
Video converter, Amber, Art Studio Pro, button.
You can bring this one into Art Studio Pro.
Books, button.
You can bring it into Books, which it's possible to store your PDFs in Apple Books if you prefer to.
Pixelmator, button.
You can bring it into Pixelmator.
More, button.
And
copy, button. Print, button.
Notice we can print this one out because it's a, it's text or an image. Either one you can print out.
Add tags, save to files.
So
download.
You can see that there were some differences. There were some definite differences. And if we
list button,
I don't know.
Course disk thumbnail select done
Like
button.
some of them,
Video.
Minimum.
You are using.
If somebody sent you
files.
If somebody sent you like a Word document, you'd have the option of opening it up in Pages and things of that nature. So you just need to look at your share menu because it's going to have different things depending on what the file type is. I want to show you how to save something to files and how to know where it's going to go. Now, when you download something from the web, it's going to go to the downloads folder. That's the default location usually. So you don't really have to customize that. Trying to think of what... Oh, I know what I could do. Okay, let me jump into another app for a moment. Let's go in. I wonder if it's going to let me use Ferrite since I am using audio. But maybe I can still get to the app. Let's see.
Doc, suggestions, news, files, Zoom, settings, page 1, page, video, Zoom, universe, backpack, Ferrite.
All I need to do is see my files. I don't need
Ferrite. iPad 21.
Okay.
Input level. iPad GMT. Faith Summit 2025 join.
All right.
Type MP3.
So here's a
Course intro. Ending revised. Top Faith School intro 2. 6 items.
Yeah. All right. Here let me just say that I want to save one of these to... I've already done this, but
GMT iPad 21. Type project duration 1 hour 5 minutes 10 seconds.
All right. That's a project. I'd have to export that first, which I can easily do. That's no problem.
GMT 202504291737555 underscore recording type M4A audio.
All right, that's the original audio file, so I don't even have to export that. So let's do that. Let me look at my share menu.
Delete share menu. Export button.
Well, it actually still wants
double tap to activate the picker.
It actually still wants to export anyway. So since that's the case,
convert export button.
Let's use the other
Show
one.
Input level. GM's iPad 21. Type project.
All right, we'll export that. It'll take a minute, but that's okay.
Share menu.
Share.
Export button. Pop audio button. Prepare for export. 4%.
All right, it won't take very long. I'm guessing maybe about 30 seconds. It's usually pretty quick.
12%. Prepare for export.
Because what I want to show you is how to save something to files when it does give you the opportunity to do so. And this one's already in files, so it's also going to ask us to replace it if we want to, so you'll get to see that. But I want to show you how you can rename something, how you can choose where it's going, and so on. So let's keep an eye on the percentage progress here.
42%.
Moving right along.
Prepare for export.
And this is a project file that I had edited. It's already up on the podcast, praise God, but I wanted to do it again for some reason. Just showing it to you.
66%. Prepare for export.
Real good progress. We'll be done. We'll be done in short order here. Any second now, I suppose.
96%.
Yep.
Prepare for export.
Next thing you... Okay.
iPad 21.
There we go. You have a lot of choices here again in this share menu.
Audio recording. Carson. Clip. Mom. Fred. Buck.
Sharing suggestions again.
Air messages. Mail. Notes. Freeform. Voice memos.
Look at all that.
Final. Chat GPT. Final Cut Pro. Video. Back clips. More. Copy.
That one had
button.
clips available.
Save to Ferrite library. Add tags. Button.
See, we can add tags right here.
Save to files.
Save
button.
to files. Now.
Swipe up. Cancel. iPad 21. Tap back. Dimmed. Button.
Okay.
See folders you viewed previously.
Where is it going? Well, the way I can easily find that out is to touch the right side and see if I recognize anything.
05 I1 01 Rider GM
I
audio.
do. That's my audio files folder. That's where I want it to go. What if I didn't know that? Well, let's look at the left side here.
Zoom, video, Ferrite, cancel, more, button, recently used, button, heading, expanded, selected, audio files, button.
Yeah, it's already there. It says selected. I can pick one of these other ones.
PDFs, audio exchange, locations, button, heading,
And then
expanded.
If I want to actually save it in a location.
iCloud Drive, on my iPad, favorites, downloads.
See, so
iCloud Drive.
I could pick iCloud Drive and then I could pick a folder, but we know it's already going to audio files.
Selected, audio files.
So up on the right-hand side is a save button.
Dismiss pop, 01 right, save, button.
But if I want to change the name, I do a 4-finger single tap near the bottom right.
Dismiss, new folder, button, icons, button.
Oh, and new folders up there near the top too.
Search.
That was
button,
still up at the top.
Save.
I want to go to the bottom, and it doesn't appear that it's going to let me with the 4-finger single tap, so I'll have to
47 lap.
swipe 3 fingers up a whole bunch.
Page 6 of 43. Page
Now
8
let's try it.
Cinematic collab. Colors of the World.
Maybe
2.
I can try to tap real far down here.
Collab and Colors of the World 2. Concepts agree. Audio. Dismiss pop-up. Dismiss forward. Audio file. Important.
I want to get
Back.
far down.
Icons. Button.
And
concept.
I might just have to keep swiping a while because it's really more than what you can see on the screen.
Page 35.
That's the issue we're having, but I'm almost there.
Page 42 of page
Okay.
43 of page 40. Zap splat up 437 items.
Reason I wanted to show you this is because if you go to the right,
Sync with iCloud. Vertical scroll bar. iPad 21. Text field.
there's an edit field.
Double tap to edit.
And to its right,
Tags. Button.
there's a tags button.
Tags. Button.
So,
Tags. Tag. iPad 21. Text field.
if I want to change the name of this file that's being saved, I can do it right there before I ever save it. Okay? That's why I wanted to show you that. Now back up to the top.
Forward. Audio. New icon. Search. Save. Button.
I'll hit save.
Save. Alert. Replace existing items.
And notice, as I told you, that file already exists in the Files app. So it's going to ask me.
The file, iPad21.m4a, already exists in this location. Do you want to replace it with the one you're copying?
We'll go to the right.
Replace. Button. Keep both. Button. Stop. Button.
We can replace, keep both, or stop the process. We don't have to do it at all. So
Stop. Replace.
We'll say replace.
Button. Replace. Cancel. But show sidebar.
all right,
Button.
that's how easy it is to save something. Let's go back to the Files app. Now,
Files. Video.
if I
Double
were,
tapped. Files. Search. 1789 underscore. Icon. New folder.
I wanna go back.
Select. P4. Back.
I'm in iCloud,
PDFs.
Drive.
Pages.
but let's go on the left here to Recents.
Back. But. Recents. Toggle sidebar.
I like Recents because you'll see,
Browse. Back. Forward. Select. Icons. Search. Recents. Heading. iPad 21. Audio. Today. 3.
there's the one we just saved.
Course proposal. PDF.
There's the course proposal that I had opened.
Book music intro Titanic.
There's the book music.
Book music intro Titanic. iPhone PT5.
Why does it have book music intro Titanic twice? Because I had it in 2 locations now, remember? And then iPhone Part 5, that's a Pages handout.
Book music. iPhone PT5. Pages file. With Edward Valbrecht. iCloud Drive.
And it's a shared file.
Actions available.
And it's a Pages document, so you got to, hear that. I could open that up in Pages. I was working with that a little bit earlier today.
Tax info 25, pages file, GMT 202504, course control, edit,
right?
audio.
So you get all these files. This is recents, you know. Now, again, if we show the sidebar, what we have then is we have a lot of other choices of locations as well. So I would just encourage you to play with that sidebar as well if you need it. You know,
Back, ship recents, toggle sidebar, forward,
now
dimmed,
it's visible.
hide sidebar,
And
button,
I'll show you.
files, heading, more, button,
There's a more button. Let's show you what's in it.
scan, dismiss, edit, scan documents,
Again,
button,
it's another way to scan documents.
connect to server, button,
If you need to connect to a server,
edit sidebar, button,
you can edit the sidebar, as in many cases,
dismiss context
and
menu,
dismiss. So let's look what's in the sidebar.
hide sidebar, more, selected, recents, button, shared, button, locations, button, heading, expanded.
So you've still got those same
Double
three.
tap to collapse. Actions available.
You've still got those same three options, but locations is expanded. You could double tap it to collapse it. While it's expanded, we have
iCloud Drive. On my iPad. Recently deleted. But favorites. Button.
And
heading,
again,
downloads. Favorites. Button. Heading.
if your
downloads.
favorites is another section there.
Tags. Button.
And
heading.
Notice there's tags, right? That's expanded as well. So I can look at my...
Titanic. Button.
That's that tag I just created. Remember that?
Red.
What that means is if I view the Titanic tag now, it's going to have that file. It's going to have...
Titanic. 2 items. Book music intro Titanic. Audio. Today. Book music.
See? So it has that file we just worked on because it is under that tag. All right, and then...
Shared. Button. Recent.
Let's...
Locate. On my iPad.
What else did I want to do? Oh, if you...
Locations.
Now,
button. Heading. Expanded.
let me see. How do I...
Hide sidebar. Files. Head.
I think if I want to add additional locations, which I don't have anything installed like Dropbox or anything, so I don't even think you'd see it.
More.
But I actually think it's under that edit sidebar option.
Scan. Connect to edit sidebar. Button. Edit sidebar. Locations. Button. Heading. iCloud. Switch button. On.
Yes. See, you can
Double
turn
tap to toggle.
on or off a location like iCloud Drive.
Reorder iCloud Drive.
Reorder it.
On my iPad. Button. Switch button. On.
And I don't think there's anything in here that I don't have on because I don't have any of those other kinds of apps installed.
Recent. Favorite. Download. Reorder. Tags. Titan. Reorder. Red. Button.
Yeah, I don't think so. But if you had, let's say, the Dropbox app installed, it would show up here. All you'd have to do is turn it on. I'm going to get out of this.
Hide sidebar. Hide file. Done. Button. Done.
And
more. But shared. Location. iCloud Drive.
iCloud Drive. Go hide the sidebar.
Hide sidebar. Hide sidebar.
I don't,
back,
honestly.
Button. Back. Button.
Think you
browse.
typically
tab,
need it.
3 of ship recent. Left behind. Cliff logo. Keynote.
I'm in iCloud Drive. I'll just go to Recents.
Back. But toggle recents. Tab.
And there you go. And that is an overview of the Files app.
Thanks for joining today's session. Didn't get your question answered? Have an additional comment or feedback? Email us info@ttjtech.biz or info@stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U. That's STURITUP.com. Or check out our websites for additional resources. That's ttjtech.biz or stiritup.com. And remember, subscribe to the newsletter when you're there. That way, you don't miss out on any upcoming announcements or events. Thanks for joining us. God bless, and see you next time.